Good evening, everyone. Let us offer a prayer together. Let's sit upright. Let's take a moment to lift our gaze and our awareness to the front part of the brain or to the point between the two eyebrows, the spiritual eye. And let's pray. Heavenly Father, Divine Mother, friend, beloved God, great masters of self-realization, Jesus Christ, Babaji, Krishna, Lahiri Mahashai, Swami Shri Yukteswar Ji, beloved Master Paramhansa Yogananda Ji, saints and sages of all religions, we humbly bow before you all and we thank you for the teachings and your grace that you have brought into our lives. Help us apply these teachings in our daily lives that we may be healed in body, mind, and spirit, and then use us as instruments to further your teachings, to help our brothers and sisters. Om Shanti. Let's just take a moment or two in silence and let's visualize we've all come together as if in one room before the masters. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Welcome once again, friends. And as Blazy mentioned, I'll be sharing on Master's teachings on a magnetic diet. And I'll actually right away start with one of his quotes, which is very clarifying. It's right here. By the way, I have borrowed from the book, How to Achieve Glowing Health and Vitality. I highly recommend that book, which is available through our publications. And, here we are, of course, every week praying for situations, for people. And Master said, we are serving as an instrument. And he said, like physician, heal thyself, is the popular saying that we, as those who are praying for ourselves, others, if we heal ourselves, then more energy can flow through us. We can be in tune with divine will. So let's get this understanding on the subject of food itself. And Master writes over here, as a rule, the word food is used only in connection with material nourishment, but there are other kinds of food. Mental energy or concentration and divine wisdom. That I think it was last week, the subject was being covered in the healing session that we are trying to pray for somebody, but the mind is not cooperating. So learn the techniques of focusing the mind, learning, Master said, how to focus on one thing at a time. Or we are praying for somebody and we are so disturbed, perhaps by their suffering, perhaps like Master said, once he saw Swami Kriyananda Ji, and Swamiji was in a mood that morning, and Master was going past him and he said, how are you, Walter? And Swami said, well, sir. Master said, very good, very good. And he didn't allow him to finish that line. And later, when Swami was more open and receptive and had slightly gone past the mood, Master said to him, Walter, no more moods now. Otherwise, how will you help people? And Swami said at that time he was going through this mood where he felt Master is not giving him time, he does not love him. And the moment he was out of that mood, he realized, of course, Master is busy doing so many things. And he was being selfish in expecting Master to be, you might say, looking after him all the time. And so that is divine wisdom. When we get that understanding and when we are out of self-preoccupation, then we can think of serving a larger community. It is a little bit like Mahatma Gandhi, when people would come and say, I want to fight for the country and help bring independence. He would help them introspect that different situations will come. Will you still think about yourself? Or will you think of the larger community or the country? And Yogananda Ji said his renunciation was of a very special kind because of that reason, that he renounced everything for a much larger good, in the larger welfare for the nation. So coming back to our understanding that yes, we want to have, and I'll cover some points, good physical diet. We want to, Master said, take an oxygen fast. We want to be taking sun baths. And of course, I won't go in the details, but a good balanced diet. But then we also want to be focusing that how is our mind doing? Are we able to concentrate deeply enough when we are praying? Like Swami said, still your heart in one of his songs, still your mind, still your soul if you want to pray, because then we can reach to the heart of the matter and pray accordingly. So I want to pick another beautiful quote of Master, and we'll go through some of these. Now this is one of the benefits of revisiting something as simple and as methodical as his health teachings, which, I've read this book, Glowing Health and Vitality, so many times, but this beautiful phrase simply missed my attention. Master calls it oxygen fasting. And he writes, and let's do this right now. Let's sit up straight. And it's a simple one-line instruction. He says, inhale and exhale deeply from 6 to 12 times every hour, filling the lungs with fresh air down to the lower lobes, the upper lobes, middle lobes of the lung, and the lower lobes. And then towards the end of the paragraph, he says, this fast aids spiritual growth. Let's just sit up straight. In a few minutes, we will all be offering prayers for one another. Close your eyes, and I'll do the counting for us all. Through the nose, in a very relaxed way. Relax your shoulders, relax the abdominal area. Take a deep breath slowly through the nose. Now breathe out from the mouth or nose. Keep your gaze uplifted as we go into further breaths. Now inhale again, slowly, deeply. Hold for just a brief moment and then breathe out through the nose or the mouth. Now this third time, as you inhale, feel that you're filling the lungs completely down, as Master says, to the lower lobes. Feel that expansion just above the abdominal and diaphragmatic area as the chest pushes out, forward, sideways, backwards. Hold. And as you breathe out, feel that recoil. One more breath. Feel that you're bringing energy, life force. Very consciously, you're inviting it into your lungs and body. And let's take these last two breaths at our own pace. Breathe out 3 times now. And with the next breath, gently open your eyes. Master said those who do pranayama and yoga practices, they often have brighter eyes. And he said more life force in the body because, of course, it has been consciously practiced. And friends, when we are praying for others, yes, we are not using our energy, but it helps a lot to be an energetic instrument. It is a little bit like currency, the financial currency. You have it, you can give it to others. Physician, heal thyself. If we are ourselves not filled with energy, it does not help us. And certainly, our prayers can be less effective. So that was oxygen fasting, contrary to the misconception in our mind that, oh, I'm fasting and depriving myself of something. You see that this actually, Yogananda ji said, puts us more directly in touch with prana. He actually explains very beautifully in this book that he said, you see, everything in the fundamental analysis behind matter is made of energy. And he said, if you depend on food and heavier foods, then he said, you're not using your will and you're not depending on energy. And hence, in the beginning, we don't feel energy. We have become accustomed to that source. On the other hand, if we depend on sun and oxygen every now and then, He says, then in a single breath, sometimes we can derive a lot of energy. I mean, anybody who has ever tried to do a difficult, challenging task has basically begun like this. Okay, let's do this. And the point is that that single breath, and which is called an inspiration, there's a reason. And Master is saying, learn to draw energy and health from that food. He's calling it the oxygen food over here. Now I want to read something he mentions about sunshine. Yes. A 1 hour sun bath is also part of the magnetic diet. The ultraviolet rays, which one absorbs in a whole day at the beach, exert a beneficial vitalizing effect on the body, which lasts about 3 months. You can cure sores and wounds by exposing them a half-hour daily to the sunlight. Now, I have to tell you, last week I injured these 2 fingers while cutting a fruit, and I put a bandage and such, and it was monsoon in Pune where I had injured my finger. So there was no sun at that time, but I then came to Rajasthan, Jaipur, and I'm in Alwar, my hometown right now. And I took off the bandage because it was getting little, it was not helping. It was a deep cut. And I went on the terrace and I said, well, Master has said this, let me try. I don't think anybody can make out a cut on my finger. Anyway, it's hard to see, but I know it's all healed. And these are very simple, practical tools. Now, it's good to put a bandage because in the beginning, you don't want water or dust to fall on it. But Master is saying, well, here you have plenty of sun. Why don't you expose that wound to the sun and oxygen and direct your mind on that kind of healing? And again, it can bring us great amount of vitalizing effects, he's saying. So keep this in mind. These things are simple, oxygen or sunbathing, but it is often in their absence. Or, once you do it, then you say, wait a minute, I'm feeling so good after even 5-10 minutes of brushing my body cells, or like Master says, go in the sun and just brush yourself with a wet towel and just open up those skin pores, that we start actually deriving nourishment from something we had long forgotten. And finally, I'd like to read something that Master has written about mental stagnation. Now, this can happen for many reasons. One of the reasons Yogananda ji said, which I think is very relevant for our times, is distractions. That, let's say a challenging situation comes and we're like, oh God, this is difficult. Or let's say a news overwhelms us sometimes. Well, distraction doesn't help except we are avoiding the problem, or we are not able to come up with a creative solution, or our prayers are not deep enough, or there is no persistence over there. So all these things are linked to something Master is calling over here mental stagnation, and he's very strong about the words he's writing over here. Mental stagnation is mental tuberculosis. Come out of your closed chamber of narrowness. Drink in the fresh air of others' vital thoughts and views. Drink vitality. Receive mental nourishment from materially and spiritually progressive minds. Feast unstintingly on the creative thinking within you and others. And then he goes on to say, develop introspection and initiative whenever you're faced with a challenge. Now, this could be a mental health challenge, this could be an emotional challenge, this could be a karmic test, this could be a physical health issue, this could be for us or others. And Master is saying, don't allow that thing to topple you over. Certainly don't get into mental stagnation where we are not knowing what to do for a long period of time. Think of life not in a restless way, but a little bit like an emergency department. A problem is coming, and you have to quickly find a solution. And I've seen people who stay in emergency, and I've worked in one many times, that hours go by, sometimes the whole night goes by, and you're actually filled with a lot of energy in the morning. Why? Because you are in a solution consciousness. Whereas, of course, if we are not, then it becomes like an insurmountable problem. So let's just take a moment of silence before we go into prayers. to think of these beautiful gems Master gave us through his writings, very practical tips. First off, the fact that food itself is for the physical body, but the food for the mind is concentration, and the food for the spiritual body is divine wisdom. Then the tool of oxygen fasting that we can consume every day, he says, multiple times by deep breathing during many hours of our daily activity. Then sunbathing outside, depending more on sunshine to heal our cuts and wounds and sores, bodily ailments. Another time he says to develop more hemoglobin. And finally, to come out of mental stagnation, to find new solutions. As Master writes in this book, a disease is called incurable simply because doctors have not found its cure yet. So, whenever there's a problem, how can we use wisdom, introspection, calmness, persistence, initiative to go to the heart of the problem and by God and Guru's help, find a solution for it? Let's inwardly thank Master for these gems that we can apply in our lives. And I'd like to